Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warrior Fast Break here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us. We are brought to you by Russell and Associates, and we'll start off the show this week by talking women's basketball with head coach Scott Ballard. And Coach Ballard, just off the top, congratulations on a pair of wins this weekend.
Yeah, it was first time we've done that in conference play so far this year, and it was a long trip, to say the least. We had to deal with bad roads and weather Friday night after the Moorhead game. It took us about an extra hour to get to Aberdeen. The wind was blowing 40 miles an hour. They didn't have that much snow, but it only takes an inch or two with that kind of wind to create some hazardous conditions. And then after the game on Saturday at Aberdeen, we didn't have to drive when it was snowing. We were following the snow. And, the snowplows hadn't been through yet. It was terrible. We had one stretch of about 150 miles. We got behind a semi, and you couldn't pass because the passing lane was 6 inches deep with snow. Plows hadn't come through. And we had to follow this semi driving about 35 or 40 miles an hour for 150 miles. And the men's team actually were only 45 minutes behind us, despite us having a 2.5 hour head start. And then they had a 70-minute breakdown with the bus, and they still were only 45 minutes behind us when we got into town about 4 o'clock Sunday morning. So it was a long, hard trip, and we played two really good games. The weekend before, when we played Duluth and St. Cloud, we played 3 really good quarters against both teams, but the bad quarter was too much for us to overcome. We had a bad third quarter against Moorhead, where a 19-point lead shrunk to 2, but I was proud of how we kept our composure, made plays in the fourth quarter, got a 5 or 6 point lead with 3 minutes to go, and we shot 100% from the free throw line. It was fun to see us finish that way and play like we've been in that position before. And then against Northern, we probably played the best 4-quarter game that we played so far this year, all the way back to when we played Washburn. So 2 well-deserved team wins. Taylor Husted was named South Division Player of the Week. She's played really well the last 4 games, and couldn't have done it without her teammates. And so we kind of look at it as a team award, going 2-0 and having somebody that was as consistent as she was. She stayed out of foul trouble both games, and that leads to her filling the stat sheet.
You talked about being 2 great complete games that you played, and the stats certainly show that, shooting about 50% from the field in both games, which is about your average for the season. I think your average is about 43%, but great to see that this weekend.
Well, we have struggled so often shooting a good percentage from three-point land, and we didn't shoot a great percentage against Moorhead, but we took good shots and we hit some big shots at crucial times. But against Northern, we shot 40%, 8 for 20 from three-point land. And Maddie Chemins, she hit 4. But the other thing, too, that I enjoyed seeing this weekend is we held our own on the boards against 2 very traditional, rich, rebounding teams. And we only averaged 9 turnovers a game. So we didn't give possessions away. We shot better percentage from the field, from perimeter, and we rebounded with 2 really good, strong rebounding teams. And so that, combined with defensively, I thought we were very solid both nights. Saturday, we were really locked in. They've got 3 post people. One of them is a post player that's playing the 3 spot on the floor. And you know, they've done some serious damage against some other teams in our division, and I was pleased and impressed with how we competed from a physicality standpoint both nights.
You know, you talked about Taylor Husted's great weekend, which congratulations to her for getting the conference honor. And then you said it was a total team effort, that she couldn't have done it without her teammates. You had Emily Keek and Caitlin Riley score in double digits against Moorhead, and then you had Maddie Schemen score in double digits against Northern. But then you also had Dornfeld and Riley get close to double digits. So I mean, it's got to be great to see everybody being able to get into the mix.
Well, another thing too is both games this weekend, we got some quality minutes from our bench. They contributed offensively, cashed in on some easy scoring opportunities. Dornfeld probably had the best game of the year for her on Saturday against Northern. But Caitlin Shrimp came in, grabbed some rebounds. Vanessa Alexander got in transition, played good defense. You know, I liked what I've seen from our kids. They felt really good about themselves after the game was over on Saturday.
All right. I need to ask you about Northern State. I know that it was kind of a special weekend for them, their I Hate Winter weekend. And we had heard from Coach Eisner about some of the shenanigans that they have from a couple years ago. What was it like to play them during this particular weekend this year?
Well, you know, the women's team, they were on a roll. They had won 4 in a row, and they had beaten Sioux Falls. They had beaten Wayne. You know, they beaten Upper Iowa, and I don't remember who they had beaten, you know, before that, but they had won 4 in a row. I hate winter also, especially over there when it was as cold and snowy as it was, and it's so far from home. But years past, we've seen them before where they had a hot tub at one end of the court and kids in bathing suits and whatever, but they didn't have the hot tub this time. But it's just, it's an opportunity for those college kids to dress inappropriately in the winter and act really, really crazy. So they had fun with it, and they had a nice crowd, as they usually do. I think for the women's game, attendance was like 2,200. So, you know, it was a fun environment. We didn't let it become a hostile environment because we pretty much controlled the game from probably from the middle of the first quarter on. But we played a very consistent game at both ends.
Another thing that was really good, especially in the Northern game, was your scoring in the paint. 38 points in the paint against Northern. Talk about how important it is to get that kind of scoring.
Well, and going into the game, I didn't know if we would be able to be that productive there because they like to double post in the paint, and they like to dig down with guards. And the fact that we hadn't been shooting a very good percentage from the perimeter, I just anticipated them doing a lot of that. But offensively, we had a lot of movement, and post people were flashing in there instead of setting in there and being stagnant and easy to read when you were going to be there. But we got some stuff in transition. Taylor Husted ran the floor like she was in a track meet. She ran the floor the entire night. And then Vanessa Alexander came in and did the same thing. And we probably scored in transition more in that game than any game all year. We hit some threes. We got to the rim. We got some layups. And we're going to have to continue to do that. I'm hoping that this is something that we see more of, you know, in the remaining part of our schedule.
All right, and you do come home this weekend. You play Mary and Minot, who are teams that are kind of hovering around the 500 mark as well. Tell us how you match up against those two teams.
Well, today, you know, early in the week, we're preparing for Saturday's team, which is Minot, and here's a team that they've won 3 in a row. They have not lost to a team in the South Division. They were home all those games, but you know, they just beat Mankato and Concordia by 10, both of them by 10. And They've got the second leading scorer in the league as a junior college transfer. She's a matchup challenge for anyone. She's 5'10". She plays 5 spot. They're a team that doesn't have much size, but she's hard to guard. They go 5 out and don't have a true post player. They're hard to guard. They're a tough matchup for your post. But they are also, to complement that, they're also one of the top 4 3-point shooting teams in the league. And then you look at Mary, and Mary is the best 3-point shooting team in the conference. And they do a lot of 4 out, 1 in. So it'll be a little different style of play that we go against compared to this past weekend. But, we feel like we can do some things and match up with them defensively, maybe better than some other teams. But they're going to force us to make good decisions when we do get the ball in the paint. Make good reads, make good passes, kickouts on the perimeter. We're going to have to have a decent shooting game, from outside. We need to get in transition as much as we can. Minot and Mary both like to change defenses, and we're going to see some zone this weekend, which we haven't seen much of. We only seen like 3 possessions of it against Northern, but both those teams. Mary is, they're almost a 50-50 team with regards to man and zone, and Minot was probably 60-40. So we're going to have to show and prove that we can make good decisions playing against the zone. But Minot's got a point guard that's a D1 transfer. She's been there for a couple of years. But against Concordia Saturday night, she was 10 for 10 from the field and 4 for 4 from the line. The kid played 40 minutes. Concordia could not keep her in front of them. She was a nightmare for them. So they got a heck of a 1-2 punch with her at the point, and then the other kid inside. They're tough, and then they make the other kids around them better because they play through. Both those kids touch the ball almost every possession, and so they're either shooting the ball or setting somebody else up for a shot. So the best thing that could happen would be for one of those two to get in foul trouble. But I haven't figured out how we do that.
And then, of course, you got to make sure that you stay out of foul trouble as well.
Yeah, that's always important to us. Emma and Tay, when they stay out of foul trouble and they stay on the floor together for a good portion of the game, good things usually happen. But I've gained some confidence in the people coming off the bench from this past weekend, and that was good to see, and hope that they gain some confidence and build on that moving forward.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time this week, and we can't wait to see you this weekend to see you play Mary and Minot.
All right. One more thing I'd like to mention is that it's been a couple years since we had an alumni game, but we are having an alumni game at 12:30 on Saturday, so people could come out and see some familiar faces, and it's always a lot of fun.
You want to drop any names? Do you know who's coming?
No, the list is very fluid, and it is growing and changing by the minute. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, sounds good. Well, we'll definitely try to be in there for that. And thank you for the time this week.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, thank you. We're going to take a break here on Warrior Fast Break. When we come back, we'll talk Warrior men's basketball with head coach Todd Eisner right after this. Get ready for Warrior Basketball Game Day and find out what happened the previous week on Warriors Fast Break. Each week, HBC TV 25's Justin Barrientos talks with Warrior men's basketball coach Todd Eisner and Warrior women's coach Scott Ballard to get their insight on the week that was in Winona State Warrior basketball. Warriors Fast Break on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Russell and Associates.
Meet Jenny Saseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Saseski at Edina Realty today. 507-458-7038.
Food, shelter, fast internet. It's all we really need. Good thing HBC has the fast, reliable internet it takes to power all the Wi-Fi hungry gadgets in your home, all at once. With speeds like these, get smooth HD streaming video, gaming, music, and surfing, all with no waiting, no buffering, no kidding. You want it. You need it. Get it. Call or click hbci.com and upgrade your internet today.
And welcome back to Warrior Fast Break here on HBC TV 25. We'll now switch to talk men's basketball with men's head coach Todd Eisner. And Coach Eisner, you had a split this weekend. Let's start with the first game from the weekend, Minnesota State. Unfortunately, that was a loss, 74-58. And I kind of want to gauge your thoughts on the games this weekend, because it seemed like they were two different teams basically that you guys had, because the Minnesota State Moorhead game was a loss, but then you rebounded really well on Saturday. Your thoughts on what happened on Friday?
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week on the show that we didn't know what we were going to get with Moorhead. They hadn't played since January 2nd. They had 2 weeks in a row where they were paused due to our lovely pandemic in the world. And we got the good Moorhead in terms of the team coming out and playing with a lot of energy, really defended at a high level. They were picked to win the North, so it wasn't like how they played was a surprise. They just haven't played that way consistently. And, they certainly dominated really us for the first 32 minutes of the game before I kind of pulled the plug on the starters and said, let's try to figure out a way to win on Saturday. But they were very impressive on both ends of the floor. We didn't have many answers for them when they had the ball, and they took away a lot of the things that we tried to do offensively.
They out-rebounded you 37-28. They kind of outscored you on the bench as well. I guess talk a little bit about that decision then to pull starters and maybe give some more time to your bench players. Is that also a factor too? Is trying to get some of your guys on the bench a little bit more game time, just in case you need them later on in the season?
That's probably a combination of a lot of things, but to be real honest with you, we don't have a lot of depth. I think we've talked about that a little bit throughout the broadcast this year, and when you got to play back-to-back nights, and I'm using Alec and Luke and Dev, 33, 34, 35 minutes a game, to have them continue to play through a game where we weren't stopping them at all, using our starters. And weren't scoring at a high level. So, at some point in time as a coach, you've got to say, when's the time that you give them a little break from a rest standpoint, knowing we got to travel 3 hours yet that night and play the next day at 6 o'clock. And so that's a big factor into it. It's just the world we live in the NSIC. We got to play back-to-back nights. You got to get 80 minutes out of your guys, and you don't have a lot of depth. Sometimes you got to make those challenging decisions. We did it against for the St. Cloud Duluth weekend when we were getting pummeled by Duluth. I think I pulled them with about 8 minutes to go there also. And I'm not saying that's the reason it worked so well the next night, but so far it's given us at least a chance to have a little more energy on day two.
Well, as you said, it ended up working against Northern State. You're able to get the win in that one, 83-74. And as we mentioned, it was the I Hate Winter weekend. So, maybe that was good that you're able to rest your guys, and they had a spark in what was possibly a crazy environment. I guess, let us know, was it as crazy as you were kind of describing last week?
It was interesting. Like I said, it's the second time since I've been at Winona State that we played on that weekend. And, it is a tough environment. The students are very involved, and a handful of them came in trench coats and showed us their summer wear on the lake and the beach, and and so it was a great crowd to be a part of. And I say that now because we played well against it. But in the second half, they brought, I think it was 6 or 7 co-eds down to our end of the floor in trench coats. And I actually stopped after one free throw because they were literally standing right in front of the basket, and just asked the referees to move them. So I got, 3,000 or 3,500 people to boo me for stopping the game. And then we continued to miss free throws. We missed 6 free throws in the game, Justin, and all of them were in the second half when our guys were a little more distracted than usual. And like I said, it's easier to talk about now when we played really, really well offensively, really the entire game, but in particular the second half. I think we missed 6 free throws. I think we only missed 6 shots in the second half also, and shot 70% from the floor. And Coach Melwick did a great job of drawing up a game plan that we felt was going to be, really productive for us, and our guys did a great job of executing.
Yeah, 55.6 from the floor for the game, and then 48% from three-point territory. So it was a great shooting night for you. Sometimes those of us in the media and also fans can say, well, how can you shoot, less than that one night and then come back the next night and shoot so well? Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, you keep your fingers crossed. You don't really have a rhyme or reason. I think shooting is contagious, individually for yourself and as a team. And again, I think our execution was a little better. Both teams played us, in different schemes from a defensive standpoint. Northern State hard hedged a lot of their ball screens, which freed up, Connor Drew. Connor Drew had a really nice game, and then Al was tremendous in the second half. And I say this because Dev has been so good in our ball screen actions for, really now going on 5 years. And the way they defended and the way he manipulated their ball screen coverage, led to him being really productive with 10 assists and 1 turnover. So, it was good to see. We needed it. I wasn't real encouraged. I thought that we were a little down at shoot around Saturday afternoon, and just kind of encouraged our guys and told them they need to snap out of it. We couldn't do anything about Friday. We just need to take care of Saturday. And they were really good on both ends of the floor for the most part of the night.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of the top players. Alec Rosner had 25 points in the game. And Connor Drew, you mentioned him. We haven't really talked about him all that much on the show this year. 23 points, which I think is a season high and obviously a career high for him. How has Connor Drew kind of developed this season as a player, kind of being thrown into the mix in his first year?
Yeah, we've got 2 young people, young freshmen at the post position that are, basically sharing it. But Connor's been tremendous. Him and Drew both come with a tremendous amount of enthusiasm every day, and they want to get better. They have a good work ethic. They're both, kind of bring something different to the table, but yet they have some similar qualities in their skill sets. And Connor can really stretch a defense and shoot the ball from the arc. We've got to, continue to work with him on his shot selection. He took a shot on Saturday in the first half that I told him I was so mad at him I couldn't even speak. And so every once in a while he gets a little antsy with his shot selection, but we're very fortunate to have both of them. They both brought a lot to the table. Connor was really good on Saturday, and Drew actually gave us some good minutes on Saturday too. So when we get those 2 playing well, that really helps us a bunch.
So one of the things that I've said during games is that, Connor Drew and Drew Adams are going to be these players that maybe develop into that post presence that we haven't seen at Winona State since, I don't even know who the last true post player is. I guess you'd say Tommy Getke, even though he liked to shoot from 3. Are we far off on that, or is that kind of what you're looking for in these 2 players, is to actually be a true post presence?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to have a lot of versatility to their game, but I think they both have skill sets with their back to the basket that we can utilize, which we haven't always had that opportunity. Obviously, Dre was not a back to the basket guy. Tommy was probably more comfortable faced up than with his back to the basket, although he could score with his back to the basket. Kyle Bauman was probably a little bit of the same, and those are probably the 3 main post players we've had since I've been here. But both Drew and Connor have have a very good skill set with their back to the basket, but I also know that they can shoot the ball from the three, and we're going to take advantage of that. So, the more well-rounded we get our players offensively, the more things we can do with them. But those will be two that I think as they continue to grow and mature and get comfortable with the college game, that we'll see them be more and more effective inside also.
All right. So this weekend, you're back home. You face Mary and Minot on Friday and Saturday. Mary comes into the game 7-11, Minot 12-4. But as we said, records don't really matter all that much. How do you match up against these two teams this weekend?
We played Mary in the Thanksgiving tournament on the second day, and we played very well. And so this will be the second time we see them. They've got a very, very good point guard. He's big. He's 6'3" and about 195 pounds. And is their leading scorer and kind of dictates how the game's being played. He did not play this past weekend due to, I don't know, either injury or illness. But yet they still won both games at home against Concordia St. Paul and Mankato. And then they've got a couple other pieces that we've certainly got to be aware of. They've got some athleticism and some length that they can bother you on the glass. And then Minot, Coach Merkin does a great job with his program. They execute a bunch of stuff. They've had Max Cody at the point guard position, who's like their leading assists guy, all-time career assist leader at Minot State. He's another bigger point guard. He's about 6 foot, 200 pounds. So Dev's going to get challenged this weekend just because he's going to get outweighed by about 40 to 50 pounds at the point guard spot. But Max Cody's a really good player. They got some guys that can shoot it. They've got a post that is a high efficiency guy shooting 70% from the floor, and they've played very well. So we've got our hands full both nights, and we just got to put ourselves in position to have a good week of practice and get ready for the game. All
right. One more question. Just as you're talking about that, I kind of wondered, when you're facing a competition like that and that that's on the horizon, do you maybe bring in somebody in practice to kind of mimic somebody like that? I mean, I know that you have scout team kind of anyway during practice, but do you bring in any help from someone that's maybe close to the program to try to help your players out to get them ready?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, we haven't had any volunteers, and I'm not aware of any guys in the local community that would simulate those type of situations for us, whether it be a really good post player or a bigger guard or whatever it may be. The guy that would fit it the most, but he's just getting too old now, is Coach Melvick. Coach Melvick's he was a bigger guard when he played here, and he'll tell you that he could still be better than everybody we've got. But he's getting a little gray in the tooth himself, and he had to jump in here a couple of weeks ago when we were down with some bodies with injury and illness. And next thing you know, he thought he re-injured his foot that he had hurt while he was playing professionally. So I don't think he's volunteering to go up and down with our guys anytime soon. So we got to do the best with the guys that we have to simulate the opponents that we're going to have. And sometimes it's, very helpful. And sometimes we just don't have the ability, size, or body type to stimulate it. And the nice thing about, Dev in particular, or Luke and Al and Owen, and the big picture, they don't care. I mean, they're going to fight whoever they guard and stay within our system. And for the most part, I've been really pleased with how they've come out and performed so far this year.
All right. Well, Coach Melvick is a Hall of Famer at Winona State, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt for that.
All right.
All right. Thank you for the insight this week, and we're looking forward to the games this weekend, and thank you for the time.
All right, Justin. Good to see you. We'll see you this weekend.
Sounds good. And thank you for watching Warrior Fast Break this week. We'll see you next time here on HBC TV 25.